The only thing I have to be concerned about is the lasagna in the oven. I just hope Reese gets home before it's done.
Well, if we end up having a little, like, guest spot where we can hear Reese in the background being Australian with the lasagna, then that's fine.
How does one be Australian with the lasagna?
All right, I'm good. I got some water.
Okay, fantastic.
Stick a boomerang in it.
Oh God, no, that's a knife.
Yeah, just a giant Bowie knife, just right in the lasagna. Crocodile Dundee that shit. Okay, so we good. I have my beer, and everyone is ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
Yes.
Let's party.
Sweet. Okay, so hello, and welcome to Let Us Talk, a Nerd Salad podcast. Previously Nerds with Friends, but it turns out that there was another much lamer podcast with that same name, so we did a little rebranding. And today we are talking about Dungeons and Dragons, everybody's favorite tabletop role-playing game. Yes, and I have some very special friends who have joined me for today's session. We have one returner and one new person. So let's start off with, I guess I'll start with the introductions, and then we'll have the returner, and then we'll have the new person. So I am your host, the Kieselguhr Kid, Emma Kostopoulos, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Hello, it is I, Eryn, aka the Polychromatic Dragon, returning yet again. Pronouns are she, they. Fine with either.
And I'm Maggie, also known as Magadoodly. Pronouns she, her, mostly, ? You know, so.
Listen,
what the fuck is
it's
gender?
A journey.
It's a journey.
What the fuck is gender?
God, I don't even know. It's fake.
Right, yeah, it's fake. Gender is all fake. But okay, so like I said, today we are talking Dungeons and Dragons, and we have with us two very storied, very experienced Dungeons and Dragons players, which is very exciting because I am sort of a Dungeons and Dragons newbie. I've been playing, tried to play like in my undergrad a little bit, but it was a lot of like games where, you know, people would like play twice and then like interest would kind of like fall off or something like that. Yeah.
And you were so busy.
Yeah, I'm still insanely busy, but I just kind of decided, like, you know what? Fuck work. I'm going to go pretend to be a tiefling bard for like 6 hours every other week. It's good for my mental
that's
health.
The best way to live, honestly.
It's self-care. D&D is self-care.
It absolutely is.
But yeah, whereas both Eryn and Maggie have been playing really consistently for like several years, whereas I kind of only got back into the hobby. I played one game, I believe it was during my master's program. I played one campaign that I loved, and then I moved away, and I just kind of reconnected with these lovely folks and then started playing again. Whereas Eryn, aren't you in like 5 games right now?
God.
I just start crying. Yeah. Okay. So I'm in the first D&D game is the one with Maggie and our friend Louise and our friend Angelo as the DM,
who will be joining us next time.
Yes.
For the DM chat. Angelo will become a guest upon this beloved podcast.
That'll be very exciting. I'm sure he will have so much to say. He knows everything about D&D.
God, he really does.
It's kind of frightening, but in a fun way. But besides that one, I'm also in another game with Angelo as the DM, and then friends Heather, Nick, and a new friend Doug, and then Reese is doing a campaign right now as the DM with you and me and our friend Logan, and Maggie is in the works of another game that I'm going to be in.
Yeah, that one's technically not Dungeons and Dragons though. That's a Monster of the Week campaign, but it hasn't started yet. It probably won't start for another like few months, so don't put that one on the docket yet.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, it's eventually, but and then besides that, there's a I barely count this one because I've only played one session with again Angelo, Heather, Nick, and Doug. Doug is DMing that one. and we've only had one session with that, which I thought that was going to be a one shot, and then it turned into. I guess it's not necessarily a one shot. I don't know, but I'm also a bard in that game. I'm a satyr bard in that game, and he's very fun. But so I actually would
Bards
not
with
mind
hooves.
bards with hooves. I would absolutely
Bards.
not mind playing that game again because I already really like that character. But yeah, those are all the ones that I'm in currently.
All right. Now,
My
Maggie,
life's a hell.
you play, and then you are also a dungeon master. Yes?
Yes. So I'm, like Eryn said, I'm in the game with them and Louise and Angelo, and we've been playing that game for about 2 years now.
I keep losing track. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it's like 2.5. It's it's been about 2 years.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it's 2 because I got that cake for it.
Oh yeah, yes. I keep getting confused. And time's not real. It feels longer, but I think that's right.
It is, yeah. And then I also DM a game with my high school friends. Actually, we meet up about like once every other month, and like they all live in St. Louis and I live in KC, so we'll like drive back and forth. They actually were here last weekend for a D&D session, which was literally a whole day. We played for 16 hours.
Jesus God.
It was really fun. There were breaks for food, but it was a long day. I had vocal fry, like I sounded like a chain smoker, but was kind of sexy. Like.
Well, yeah, because the longest session that me and you and Louise played with Angelo as the DM, how long was that? Like we had like a day-long session too, but I can't.
There was I think there was like 12 hours.
Oh my God, so you did even longer than that?
Yeah.
And that was rough.
We woke up at 10 and I made breakfast for everyone and we ate some donuts and bacon and eggs and stuff and
oh God, yeah.
Literally just started playing. Like
that's awesome though.
It was pretty dope. Like
I feel like did we even take that many breaks whenever we played the really long session?
I think we ate dinner. I don't know.
just one break for dinner.
So, little teachable moment here, right? Like, don't D&D for extended periods without taking food breaks.
It is
because we
very
only
true.
we play for what, like 6 or 7 hours at a stretch, and even we take a dinner break.
Yeah,
actually,
you have to take breaks.
Is it 6 or 7? Because we start at 4. Is it more like 5?
Yeah, you're right. It's more like I was thinking of like because we wanted to start earlier. I count the hour of my commute to drive. like for me, D&D starts at like 2:45 when I leave my house.
You're getting in the zone anyway. You're building it up. You're getting ready to play then.
Yes.
Right. And then the hour drive back is just like thinking about what happened.
Oh God, yes, it's always so good.
Yeah. Okay. So I have kind of my little list of like pre-prepared questions and things to kind of take us in. But I thought what would be a really interesting sort of way to kind of open up the conversation was to reminisce, if you will, because I've never met anyone who is more willing to talk about their original characters than D&D players, is to kind of talk about, I don't know, like if you have a favorite one or maybe the one that you're like currently playing, and just kind of talk about like who that character is, what they're doing, and how you came about in the process of creating them.
Oh my God, I am so excited.
I also
am. Who should go first?
Well, I know that, Eryn, you definitely have multiple characters, but is there one specifically that you want to stick with, or do you want to like kind of go back and forth?
I mean, I think given that the game that we're in is the one that I've been playing the longest, and he is absolutely the one that I am the most attached to.
Yeah, same.
Sorry, what?
I said same. Yeah.
Oh yes. So, which I mean, the fact that we're those characters in the same game together I think is also pretty important for each other. So
I think you should start.
You want me to? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Me be bashful. Me, little old me. Okay. Okay. All right. So my character is a warlock, and his name is Kigo Goth, which I chose that last name on purpose because it's ridiculous. And I've never played a warlock before. I played like a little bit of D&D before this session, but what really got us all kind of, well, at least me specifically, got me kind of interested to try it again was the Adventure Zone, with the McElroys and all that. And then, we all talked about it and decided to get together and start playing. And I had looked into all the different classes and whatever, and I was like, you know what, Warlock, why have I never played a Warlock before? They're edgy, they're eldritchy, they're, tentacles. Like, come on, that's like...
Straight up your alley.
That's straight up my alley. And Angelo is, not only is he very skilled in just knowing all the rules of D&D in itself, but he also is very creative and knowledgeable in making his own, like, races and maybe items. I don't know, I can't remember for sure if he's actually made items, but at the very least, like, aspects of the game and, like, worlds and his own campaigns, like, built from the ground up, his, like, everything. And he offered his own races for us to choose from, and he had a species called Eldritch Tiefling, and I thought, oh, how perfect. So, which an Eldritch Tiefling is basically like kind of like a fish-like person. They're not really demony. They're just kind of fishy, and they have multiple eyes. They have kind of greenish, bluish skin and gills, and he actually let me choose a bunch of different aspects about them because he hadn't figured out the details of them himself, and he basically said, like, you're the first person to ever play one of these characters as this race, so whatever you decide to do as far as, like, like their culture, their backstories, their this, their that, like, you're gonna basically shape how they are. And, like, for one thing, that's insane. Like, oh wow, I have a lot of power. What do I do? Don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. And so essentially he is he's like about 25 at this point, and he's just this, he started off as just this really like edgy, like, oh, I'm dark and mysterious and I don't have emotions and I hate feelings and I have a dark history and past that I don't want to talk about. And because, when doing cliche stuff is, it's cliche, but it's also fun. And, like, he's just turned into basically, I don't even really know how to describe it. Like, I would almost call him, like, something that I can express myself through him. Like, he's really emotional and gets, like, upset a lot. And, like, I kind of do too. And there's just the way that he acts, I feel like, is just like, what's the word? Like, not conduit, that's probably not the right word. An extension of myself in a sense. And it's just kind of being able to also just, like, self-express as, like, a dude and not like a like cis woman or whatever, like, was just kind of something interesting to do as well, because I had never played as anything different like that before. So, being able to kind of explore different things like that was also just kind of fun and interesting to do. I hope I haven't rambled or gone off too much track.
Oh, you're fine.
This is good content. Good podcast content.
Oh, thank you. I try and I get nervous. But besides that, he's evolved. He's fleshed out so much over the past few years, and that is absolutely because of the people that I play with, Maggie, Angelo, and Louise, obviously. Well, no, like... Bro! Kigo, he was very cold and hated people and acted very irrationally, and he's evolved so much over these years into someone that actually is willing to open up and actually care about people and care about what happens to them. And given some things that have happened in our campaign, oh boy, just a lot of stress and trauma that he's gone through that has also just, like, completely changed, honestly, his alignment. He started off as, I believe he was, what was he, neutral evil.
Yeah.
And now he is chaotic good.
Yeah.
So
speaking of stress, I mean, like, going through all that, I mean, eating your parents, find out you ate your parents would do that to a guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we couldn't skirt that one, could we?
Now was that
No.
was that like a DM choice? Did Angelo just say
Yes.
Aaron's character ate their parents? Like that
Yes,
was
but that wasn't something that was something we found out relatively recently.
Yeah.
Because I won't try and bore with the details of his backstory and whatnot, but basically he believed his entire family had been murdered by a cult, and that was what I had decided for him. And then as the game had progressed,
Progressed.
as the game progressed, Kigo also had a sister who he believed was dead. And again, very recently, we found out that she is not dead and is in fact alive. And on the night of the murders, she apparently saw Kigo cannibalistically eating their parents. And he had been sitting on that for, I think, years. Like, or at least, like, well, the years that we've been playing. So he apparently had decided that that was a thing that happened a very long time ago, but, just sat on it until it was time to reveal it. And so right now my sister, who is also a warlock, is out running around, maybe killing innocent people? Kind of unclear.
We just don't know.
We just don't know. And so, Kigo's just super... he was also possessed by... basically a demon within him, which, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot the most important part about Kigo. He has a neck mouth.
No, I was aware.
The
I've seen the fan art. I've seen the art that you've drawn.
It's my favorite part of him. Like, whenever I was making him, I basically had like one request with this. I was just like, Angelo, can I please give him a neck mouth? I need him to have a neck mouth. And he was like, can you make up a reason as to why he would? And I was like, yes, I can. And so basically whenever he made his pact with his patron, which only, again, recently he found out the name of his patron. He's just kind of been blindly using his sugar daddy's powers, like, along the path of everything. And he basically just, not to be graphic, but cut open his own neck, and the neck mouth formed into this like fanged like maw, and over time it like spoke to him and whispered things, and then eventually he was possessed by it, and I, as Eryn, deceived my dearest friends.
All of us. I was so... Listen. I was so surprised because your character kept being mean to my character. I was like, what's happening? I thought we like made a friendship, and then like Zahathriel came out and I was like, oh my fucking god, it's been months.
I seriously was basically the demon within him was named Sahathriel, and I played as him pretending to be Kigo for, in real time, I think, probably about a few months, I think.
So and you were pretending to be a guy who was pretending to be a guy who's pretending to be a guy.
Guys pretending to be guys. And he just did
like
a lot of
D&Dception.
Yes,
it really is.
Yeah, it was. Which, oh my god, and like when the reveal happened, my heart was racing, because I actually kind of pseudo-DM'd when that happened, because Sathriel revealed himself to everyone. We had a boss battle, me and Angelo switched places like in real life. And so suddenly I was the DM and everyone had to fight me, and it was a lot of fun, but oh my god, my heart was racing. Like, I felt like my heart was gonna, I was gonna throw it up. Like, that's how, like, nervous I was to finally do the reveal, but it was so good. And with what happened, like, right after that, it's poetic, almost. But I've been talking so much, I want Maggie to talk about her beloved.
Oh, my beloved.
Your beloved. My beloved as well. Sweet, sweet boy.
My sweet, sweet boy. It's a real tonal shift in our campaign coming to my boy. His name's Chadwick.
You're going to use your Chad voice?
I'll get there. So Chad is he's a human bard. I unironically love humans in D&D. They're good at a lot of stuff. It's easy to put your modifiers in places. And it's so, like, I like a lot of the races, but I feel like with humans I can like explore things without getting bogged down by like specific like racial traits sometimes. So I unironically love humans. But yeah, Chad is a bard, and Chad originally was kind of a joke
Oh, absolutely,
character.
he was.
Because I didn't even have a name for him going in. I was trying to come up with a pun actually in the beginning. I don't know if I ever told you that.
I don't think
But
so.
yeah, and I think I was trying to make a pun off of like the fucking word like normie or some shit like that. I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
like Norman or something
Or
like
like
that.
you know in Dark Souls they have the what is it that the when the
Milk
character
toast.
Yeah, it was gonna be off like milk toast, something
Oh
like
my
that.
god.
Yeah. And so then I was like, okay, I have this bard. I was like, all right, he's gonna be such like a dude, bro. He's gonna be like, kind of a douche. And then I just can't play it that way. I don't know what it is about me. I just like can't be that mean and nasty. And so he ended up just being like a really like good bro that you meet in a party who's just a nice guy. Like,
Like would help you carry your groceries like
yeah,
out of the store
yeah.
with his big muscles.
Yeah. And so Chadwick basically just became like a chaotic good bard boy who has a Brooklyn accent.
The best part.
Yes, he's the best part. His name's Chadwick. He he sounds like he's from Brooklyn, and I get to talk like that all game. And I love him so much just cuz like I don't know. He reaches that inner part of me that is a bro.
Oh, right. Like,
yes.
yeah, I'm having like lots of like flashbacks about how in like the group chat, we're always, like Maggie has big jock energy, and I'm just like this kind of like this human bard who's just kind of like a bro with his Brooklyn accent, like that. Just that's really on brand.
It's
Yeah.
oh my god, he's so on brand.
It's my like deepest like persona that I have like inside of me. That's my true self is a Brooklyn bro, very jock.
God.
Oh my god.
Love him.
And actually, Eryn, I think, actually ended up coming up with the name too, because I remember sitting around Angela's table and was like, I don't know what to name him. And you're like, what is he like? I'm like, oh, he's like a dude, bro. And you're like, oh, name him Chad. And I'm like, oh, it's perfect. And then
Wait,
you just
really?
make it. You did, yeah.
Oh my god, I totally forgot.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, I can just make it kind of D&D sounding, and by his full name's Chadwick. Perfect.
Oh my, that's crazy. I totally forgot that. I helped make Chad a reality.
You really did. And just like going through the campaign, he basically just turned out to be just a real good boy,
He's just a real.
He's a bro and he's a good boy, and various things have happened to him. He turned into an 8-year-old for a while. He died and came back to life, and
oh yeah.
I didn't even have a backstory plan for him, just because there was other campaigns in my life and everything, and like I just really didn't think about creating a backstory for him, and then like it kind of developed with the other characters, like and just choosing the background with the character creation. He's a urchin background, and so like I was like, okay, yeah, he lived in a city and his father abandoned him. Perfect, I can do that. His father was a bard. He left, went on his own to do bard stuff. Definitely inspired by Hunter x Hunter.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Maggie? Tell us what your dad's name is.
His name, okay, so here's the thing. We just found out that actually isn't his real name. It's a nickname, because
that's
bards.
Right.
He's a secret, we just found out he's a secret bard spy, and his spy name is Clef, like treble clef. I didn't come up with that one. Angela did, but...
With Clef?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No,
I thought you came up with that.
No, I really left a lot up to Angela, because like I said, I didn't have a backstory, and the only thing that really I kind of developed a backstory was with Maeve, our friend Louise's character, just because I made some art, because I was like those pieces people do where it's like, oh, what if this character, like they met at different ages? That would be super cute. And so I was like, oh, what if Maeve and Chad met when Chad was like 5? And so I drew some like cute art. And then Louise is like, all right, this is really good. We're going to make this a reality. And so basically it turns out that like Maeve met Chad when he was younger and slept with his moms.
Maeve is a literal motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
also really on brand for like who I know Louise to be as a person. But
oh my god.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I'm seeing some common themes and trends amongst the two, even though you have two like pretty different characters, I'm seeing some kind of like themes and trends that align in terms of how you like conceptualize how you've created this character and how you kind of feel about this character in terms of like the character being sort of like maybe not like who you are per se, but like sort of this expression of sort of like, you know, who you
like an aspect
right
of yourself, or maybe how you view
right
yourself. Yeah, no,
yeah like
absolutely.
absolutely, like and I feel like that's really true for this character that I'm playing now, because you know I only have 2 D&D characters that I've ever played in my whole entire life, um and they actually, even though they're like very different characters, they were like a dwarf, basically a dwarf tank, and now I'm playing
A
and now
dwank.
yeah a dwank, and now I'm playing a tiefling bard. um Apparently I really like making non-binary D&D characters because both of my characters so far have been like, what the fuck is gender? um
I mean, I'm behind that. I'm for that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
apparently that's a thing, and I'm not entirely sure. I think it's just because I think it like lets me, I really like what it allows for you to do like with how the character expresses themselves. Um
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, this character that I'm playing right now, their name is Amnon Baracus, and they're a tiefling bard. They have horns
That's a
and
good name.
hooves. And
Of the
yeah,
hooves.
I insist upon the hooves. The hooves are a thing. Um,
Absolutely.
and their whole kind of shtick, right, is that they are this. They're kind of like they kind. It was almost kind of like how Maggie, you said that Chaz heard it off was kind of a joke character. Like it didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite a joke. It was. Amnon is the personification of my very favorite headcanon. Um, Now, this is something that um, I, as a person, am still kind of working through how I want to present it, like uber publicly. But I mean, I've already blogged about it, so I guess saying it on a podcast isn't going to be that big of a deal. I am asexual, and so
Yeah.
one of my very very favorite headcanons, because there's like zero asexual representation in media, right? Like none, zilch.
Yeah.
Right.
I really enjoy, and I've always been drawn to like hypersexualized female presenting characters who've like weaponized their sexuality. So
Yes.
like
Yes.
the one that springs immediately to mind is like Poison Ivy, the supervillain, right?
For sure.
Or like
Oh
Black
yeah.
Widow or Jessica Rabbit from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And so kind of my favorite
Yes.
headcanon is that those very hypersexualized female presenting people are actually asexual, right? And that it's this kind of like, you know, haha, you have fallen into my trap with your wiles. And and so that's kind of how Amnon was born. Was I was just like, what if I made a character that would just let me play that out? So Amnon is they hot. They really sexy. They do a lot of seducing. Or yeah,
Boob
boob
roll.
rolls, lots of boob rolls, but
I'm sorry,
boob
what?
roll. It's when you roll persuasion to seduce someone. It's a boob roll.
Oh, I see. I thought you were just rolling your titties around.
I mean, they may.
That'd be a very different
That
game.
may be part of it for them. I haven't. But yeah, but they're so they're a bard whose specialty is like, instead of playing an instrument, they do like erotic dance.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. But they're actually like they're totally asexual. So like they never actually like sleep with anybody. They just kind of, you know, they weaponize the sexual desires of other people to get what they want.
Get what they want. Yes.
And so I guess like maybe on some level Amnon is kind of like wish fulfillment. Like it's kind of a little bit like I would love to do that in actual real life.
Oh yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
for
just
sure. I understand.
yeah, so just So that was kind of how this character was born. And we've played what, 4 sessions, right, Eryn? 4
I think
sessions.
so.
Yeah,
I think so.
we've only played for 4 sessions, but if anything were to happen to Ammonon, I would
Kill everyone in this room and then myself.
Absolutely. 100%. And
hey, really quick, I'm so sorry to interrupt. The alarm for lasagna is going off. We have to take a hot second break. I'll be right back.
Yeah, there.
Lasagna alarm.
Lasagna alarm.
Can't let the lasagna burn. Absolutely cannot. But yes, that's just that's where I'm coming from. That's where I'm at, is just kind of using this character to kind of explore and embody this type of character that I see a lot in media, even though it's never presented to me in the way that I wish it would be presented. So
yeah, I mean, for sure, people like, I feel like the overall arching thing that I always hear people quote is like, people use D&D to cope, and it's completely true.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I mean, you just go work some shit out by like beating on some goblins for a while.
For sure.
Yeah, that is 100% what happens. But yeah, so we've kind of bled into like the next question on my little question-y sheet, just in terms of like,
okay,
oh, good. Lasagna, save the lasagna.
Yes, unfortunately though, you're supposed to do that stupid thing where you have to put it in for like another 5 minutes, so I have to leave in 5 minutes.
Eryn!
I'm sorry.
The lasagna, no.
I thought Reese would be back.
Are you Garfield?
Yeah?
It's just in Eryn hates Mondays.
I do.
I don't, though.
But yeah, so I guess just kind of like my next question, we've already kind of talked about like, you know, the characters that we've developed that we love. But like, what sorts of characters in the game, either like characters for you to create or like NPCs, right? Like, what sorts of characters do you like gravitate towards? And and why? I know that Eryn and I had kind of I think everyone in the session had a similar reaction to an NPC that Reese created.
Are you talking about the Kobold Queen?
Well, okay. I was talking. I knew that the Kobold Queen was gonna come up. So for those of y'all who are not particularly familiar with Eryn and how Eryn operates, every single time that I've either played D&D or been in the room with Eryn while they were playing D&D, they have attempted to seduce something. I remember
something big, something monstrous.
Right. It's just absolutely what happens. And so there's the kobolds, which are a little race of lizard people, and there's a kobold queen in our current campaign. And when we were talking to her, because Eryn is playing right now this very sort of monastic, pious character who it would just be wild and absurd for.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not. That's my lizard folk character, Goji. He is a paladin, and yes, very pious, very, religious in his own way. ? And so Goji, the character, it speaks to her in a very proper manner and all this until they get into an argument about religion for a hot second. But anyway, while that's happening, Eryn in real life is having a fucking stroke because my fiance is talking as this sexy kobold queen, and I can't do anything about it. So I've told him.
You cock-blocked yourself.
I didn't know that we were going to be with a sexy kobold queen, alright?
Reese is just as... he knows what you like, so I feel like he would put... like, you had to know he would do something like this.
No, I didn't! Also, I'm pretty sure the campaign he's doing is like a pre-made one to get started. So Like, I think it's just a beautiful, lovely coincidence.
Yeah.
I told Emma, I'm like, please, for the love of God, let me live vicariously through you, seduce the Kobold Queen.
Well, because it would be super on brand for Ammonon. And we are gonna piss the Kobold Queen off because we didn't bring the dragon back. So,
well, we'll deal with that as well.
But I was actually talking about Meepo.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, Meepo.
What a great name.
Meepo is another little kobold who was our guide, and he was he was just kind of small and kind of useless and
meek, very meek,
weak. I mean, he got destroyed. Meepo died. Meepo died terribly.
Meepo. Yes, frozen to death and shattered to pieces.
Jesus.
Meepo died terribly, but like we all just had kind of the same response to Meepo, which was that we all just kind of wanted to put Meepo in our pockets. And put Meepo in our pockets to keep him safe. And I'm just wondering, like, what kinds of like NPC encounters do you guys really value in a session?
Okay, Maggie, I feel like we're thinking about the same NPC right now.
We definitely are. It's definitely put a small, beautiful boy in your pocket. His name is Anju. Eryn, are we thinking of the same thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, thank God.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The lasagna, this is the last time. I will be right back.
I'll lament about Anju while Eryn is getting lasagna. So Anju is a character in me and Erin's game created by Angelo. And basically Anju is kind of like a smaller, adorable version of Angelo, if that's possible. But basically he's our cleric. And so in our campaign, it's me as a bard, Eryn as a warlock, and Louise was a paladin, is now a sorcerer. So we didn't really have a healer besides me, and Maeve as a paladin really didn't heal anyone. So like, I think Angelo kind of gave us Anju to make sure we didn't die. Because actually our first encounter with Anju was saving... Are you back?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm talking about the first encounter with Anju. Yes. Anju basically was a throwaway NPC that we were supposed to save for this town and save him for his like aunt who was the mayor. And
there was a chance that he wasn't even going to be alive when we got to him.
Angelo did not expect us to save him. He expected Anju to be dead. And turns out we got there quick enough that we saved him and then basically held him up. We were like, hey, stay in this room. We're going to go in a basement and get an artifact. We all almost died because we just destroyed a mirror that was supposed to kill a basilisk. And Anju actually ended up like coming down and saving us because Angelo was like, okay, we don't want to fucking party wipe here.
Deus Ex Machina this right now.
Basically Deus Ex Machina, a small young lad to save us. And he basically became our party healer for a while.
Because he's a cleric.
Yes.
And which Kigo absolutely... Did Kigo straight up turn to stone, or did he mostly turn to stone?
He was mostly turned to stone. Maeve was halfway there, and I was starting to. So we almost had a straight party wipe, and that was campaign session like
that
3.
Was early.
That was like number 3. We were still at Angelo's house playing.
Yes,
and it was distressing. I mean, it was hard because Louise had never played. You and I had played before, but it had been a while, you know. And so,
oh yeah, no, for sure.
I think he was just like, okay, we don't want to party wipe here. Here, this boy will help you out.
And then we were just like, we love you. In our pockets you go.
Yeah, and basically, like, his aunt wanted him to stay in the town, and we're like, can we take him with us? He's cool. Can we have him?
Can we keep him?
Yeah.
We want him.
Yeah, he's
our son now.
He's a small, he's just a good boy.
He's a very good boy. He's basically Angelo.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said he's a smaller, cuter version of Angelo somehow.
And like, of course, though, like once, like, you know, being well, you know, versed in the Adventure Zone type stuff, it's like we meet him and hello, sirs. Like he just makes me think of Angus.
I knew Angus MacDonald was going to be a thing.
I mean, listen, yeah. Hello, sirs. Why is this happening? And like, also, Maeve being, the which is it's really funny. Maeve is our paladin, but they're the horny one. They're the horny one in the group, and
Yeah, Chad doesn't seduce anyone as a bard. Chad's not like a typical bard. He just makes friends. He's your
he loves
bro.
friends. He loves friends. And the thing is, Maeve kind of starts a relationship with Anju's aunt, Duvessa, and that it just gets complicated because Kigo gets feelings for Maeve for a while. We just kind of made this dynamic, and I don't even really know. I can't even remember how me and Louise even got to that point where we were like, "Hey, our characters should do it." Like,
Strahd's castle for sure.
is that when it's? Oh, well, that didn't. I thought it was kind of happening before then, though.
No, you're probably right. I don't know. It was all.
I don't know either.
It was all
but either way,
of...
that's what it is right now. And again, I'm not trying to kind of go off topic here, but I'm just really quick. Maeve is gone in our campaign right now. Louise is actually playing their daughter because Maeve has a daughter
named Dayla, and this kind of also goes into the whole thing of like, it's not an NPC, but like finding a character that you really like. Dayla's
Dayla's
true, yes. 8, and she is probably the spunkiest, but also the like a very good aligned character that I think everybody in the party was very drawn to her and like endeared by her very quickly.
Oh, absolutely. And like Louise also just plays her like so funny. Like, yeah. Oh my God. And like I imagine this is how like she plays Dayla the way she probably was when she was like 8 or something.
Yeah, probably.
And like it's just also really funny because like Kigo has like was really kind of like, kind of scared, like what the fuck? Like what the hell's what's going on over here? There's a daughter now, okay. And then it turned into like, okay, well I have to do this for Maeve. I have to protect their daughter. And now it's like kind of like a weird like she's my daughter now, and like making kind of a family dynamic. And the found family, like, mwah, chef kiss. That's a 10. Like anything that with D&D, like I know it's kind of like probably what happens in most D&D, sessions, but anything that can kind of formulate a found family situation is just so very good for the heart.
Very true. Yeah, and I think almost on the other side of the spectrum with characters that you find endearing, like I know we've been talking about like good boys and good girls, but I think so in my campaign that I did last week with my high school friends that I DM'd, I actually got them to feel like really attached to a villain very quickly.
Really?
Yeah, basically an assassin came to kill them, or came to kill one of them in particular. And the assassin actually showed up. It was a changeling, and it showed up as one of the other like NPCs who was like in a relationship with one of the characters, and basically, revealed themselves to be a changeling. But there's a changeling in our party who's never met another changeling before. Oh. And so they didn't kill them. And basically they tied them up and it started interrogating them. But like the rest of the party wanted to kill the changeling. Their name was Aro. They wanted to kill Aro until like basically I started making Aro, even though they were tied up, started like being sassy and like having the upper hand in the conversation. Like the thing is I refused to talk to any of the other players except for the changeling. And so, and then if they would try to talk to me, I would just say something like offhandedly, kind of mean and sassy and like clever in a way. And it just kind of like weirdly endeared them to all the players. It was like, even at the end, like Aro ended up running away. They did kill him because, he knew where the one of the players' families lived. They couldn't let him live, but all of them were just kind of like, man, I'm gonna miss him. Like he was kind of cool, like. So I
get it. Like it's a fun villain that you actually kind of enjoy because they have a really interesting character, but and you know what, that basically makes it kind of like bittersweet. And I think that's also very interesting because it's cool. It's great to have characters and side characters that are like on your side and that you like, but then like when you're actually presented like an option like, this person's like interesting and they're fun, but they're bad and we gotta kill them. Like, you
Yeah, it
know,
was a really interesting like moral dilemma for them.
oh yeah, no, I could see that for sure.
But yeah,
Okay. All right. So we like good boys and complex villains. Um
that's not surprising,
right.
honestly.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It makes
Right.
sense.
Okay.
Um,
So let's see. We've spent basically this entire time so far just kind of gushing about our own experience with D&D and our own characters, which is really great and
Mm-hmm.
wonderful and awesome because, you know, loving something and being passionate about it is always absolutely amazing. But I kind of wanted to have a couple questions that were a little more I don't want to say like abstract, but a little less like getting into like, well, I did
like,
this in this specific session. Um
Right,
sure,
right.
sure.
oh
I
no, this
apologize.
is all content is good podcast content. Like we're doing a conversation podcast and we are conversing. Um
I love
So
to
the thing
converse.
that I kind of wanted to, and this is particularly interesting because we do have kind of a nice mix. We have kind of an inexperienced player, myself, a very experienced player, and then a player who has also done some dungeon mastering. So I think we've got a good mix
Hell yeah.
of perspectives here. But what does a successful D&D session look like to you?
Ooh.
Oh, I like this question, but I feel like I've done a ton of talking. So Maggie, you can go ahead and start us off if you want.
Okay. So as far as something being successful, the way I've kind of parsed out in my head, at least as a DM, is, and it's a little bit harder since my group only meets like every other month and our sessions are really long when we do meet up. And again, back to that 16-hour session, I don't recommend it. We are actually looking into Skyping and then doing shorter sessions more often. So don't recommend the 16-hour sessions. But so, like, as far as a successful session, what I've kind of parsed out in my head is that they learn some new information about the task that they're on, like about like some kind of lore, and that they also do something interesting. And it will, at the very least, depending how long it is, that they learn two things that are interesting and then do two things that are interesting. So it just to like keep up the momentum of the game and not let things get boring. Like even if it's not specific like on their task of like their quote unquote adventure or their main storyline, as long as like they go off and maybe do a side quest, something that is just kind of fun, and then also do something that is specific to their end goal. But also just definitely making sure that you have like lore that they find out so they don't feel like they've spent the whole session like doing all these things and not really actually learning anything about what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some kind of emotional validation.
Right.
So,
Oh
Gotta
yeah,
have the payoff. Gotta have the payoff. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
kind of in that same vein. I really like how you kind of like you even kind of like gave yourself sort of like numbers, like learn two things that are interesting,
yeah.
do two things that are interesting. So those are like really good like starter DM goals to kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
structure
no, I
stuff.
agree.
Um yeah, what I find to be really my favorite part of sort of the Dungeons and Dragons experience is, and this is going to sound, kind of lame and kind of like a cop out, but I really do like it when the DM lets you do when the DM does not have you kind of on rails for a specific encounter,
For sure.
right? Like, and I'm thinking specifically of like I'm thinking of the current game that I'm playing where kind of my whole deal right now is I just like to find ways around combat. Like I have either stopped combat entirely or prolonged us getting to the combat by trying to like weasel out of it in basically every single session. Because that's just like my character doesn't want to, they're a bard.
Doesn't want to
They don't
fight.
want to fight. They're not like super duper good at fighting. Um but what I'm really thinking about is actually the first session that I ever played where there was kind of a throwaway item, right? a little knife that had been like imbued with the spirit of a demon. Yeah,
Oh my
Eryn knows
God.
where I'm going with this. Little knife that had been imbued with the spirit of a demon. And I was a dwarf and I had blacksmithing, and I just kind of on a whim was just like, hey, dungeon master, can I fuse the spirit of the demon that's in this knife into my greatsword? Like, just, I have no idea what it's going to do or anything, but like, can I just do that? Is that a thing I'm allowed to do? And they were just like, yeah, sure, why not? And so then the greatest NPC ever, Knifey, was born.
Wasn't
Oh,
I in that game? Was I
You
in that
were.
game?
You were.
Were
You
you?
absolutely were. Yeah, you
Yes.
absolutely were.
Okay.
You.
Were you? What were you, Maggie? I'm so
Was
sorry. I
that
can't remember.
that was when I was Kari, the pirate,
Yes.
right?
Oh my God. Yes,
Yes.
that's right.
So
Hell yeah.
The
Favorite
cannibal
yeah, so I
backstory.
guess like my general like here's what I enjoy out of a D&D session is when the DM doesn't have too many grand ideas. I mean, they need to have a master plan, right?
Oh sure.
But I
But like to give you that freedom
I
to have
really love it
fun.
when the DM is just kind of like, all right, I am only about a third in charge of what is going on here, right?
Oh
You,
yeah.
the player, are going to be the ones like basically the DM is just. I really like it when the DM is your yes man, right? When you just
Yeah.
say
Oh yeah.
whatever crazy shit pops into your head, like, you know, I'm gonna cast thaumaturgy right now, or like I'm gonna throw this shit at the dragon, right? And the DM is just kind of like, all right, and that has happened
You can
canonically,
certainly try.
right?
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
And honestly,
Um.
like as a DM, sometimes it's hard. It like especially me being so new to DMing, it's really hard to like see those like the rails and just be like, okay, we're not actually gonna do that. Like stop railroading them, like let them do what they want, you know. And it's kind of hard to let go of the reins that way. But honestly, when you do, the best situations come out of it for sure. Like I
Oh,
had I had
yeah.
my players like they ended up going on a unplanned side quest and they just started yeeting goblins into a river and it was just the best thing. So
I agree with that. And like the thing is with D&D, like and this is obviously coming from someone that has not really DM'd. I would like to, but that is something way down the future. But anyway, like the craziest stuff can happen in a session, and Angelo has said himself that he does not like hardcore plan each session because when he did in the past, his plans basically, I don't want to say got ruined, but kind of got ruined. Like they went, completely out of what he expected. He wasn't prepared. He didn't know what to do, and so from that, and he can probably go into more detail about that whenever it's his time to talk. He just kind of loosely has directions for us to go, and we pave the path. And it only makes sense to me to just kind of have like an idea of like what you're wanting them to do, and or not, well, not want them to do, but what the master plan of everything is, and how to get there. But ultimately, what everyone does is up to them. So, um, and with that, I think it's interesting from Maggie's point of view, talking as a DM, being like, oh, learn these two things and do two things. I never even really actually thought about that as like something as a what would constitute as like a good D&D session, but it makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Um,
because I know that like at least with me and just being a player, I feel the most validated, and I think that's just because I love fucking like detective stories and stuff. I love just like learning something about the world or like about something's backstory.
oh
That
yeah.
for me, it's just like, oh yes, more knowledge. Let me put this in my notes. So
For me personally, outside of like what actually goes on, like story or meat wise to the D&D session, something that I've learned is like, yes, like don't go for like 16 or 12 hours at a time unless like I mean we did on my end we had the 12-hour session and it was fun, and we had like a huge thing that we had to do that like was probably would have taken us obviously like 3 or 4 sessions probably to get through, and we managed to get it knocked out in one day, so that was good. But no, I think maybe like I think generally like what 5 to 6 hours is kind of our norm.
I think that's kind of the norm overall for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
So,
Right. And besides that, like having a break for like eating and stuff like that is super important. Something that I suggested that we do in our game, me and Maggie's game, is for a long time we ate dinner beforehand and then we just kind of just like straight shot just played until like 2 or 3 in the morning. And something that I kind of noticed after a while of it happening, nearing the end of the session, some of us, mostly maybe mostly me, I'm not sure, would get kind of grumpy because we're
hmm
tired, maybe still hungry, or just want to go home because we generally play not in our own homes, and so it's like a frustration thing, and it's like you want to stop at a certain place. Where do you stop at? You can't stop in the middle of a battle. And so what I suggested is, why don't we get together, start as soon as we get together, break in the middle for food and talking and chilling and whatever, and then we get to it. But we also don't play until like 2 or 3 in the morning. We stop at like what, midnight or 1 at the
midnight.
latest.
Yeah, midnight's been pretty much the latest we've gone lately, and it's been a lot better.
No,
I
yeah,
mean,
like I think there's been a huge difference. Like I mean, it does like kind of suck that we're shortening our time to play, but at that point though, after we hit that midnight point, I think some of us just are kind of just a bit frazzled and tired, and you know
grumpy for sure, but then it would also get that weird point where everyone's just a little loopy, and it's just not like good role play anymore.
that also as well. So that's definitely one aspect that I think is important. It's basically just timing your breaks and not overdoing it, because you may be really good friends with the people that you're playing with, but depending on what's going on, you can still frustrate each other with the choices that are being made, or something that's prolonging something else.
Oh my,
And
yes.
yeah. So, but that that's just also going to happen one way or another. Like you can't completely avoid that stuff. But like I said, taking the breaks and stopping earlier is a good way to prevent that. So I'm trying to think of anything else. Role playing in general, I think, is really important for D&D. Like I really started the role playing aspect with Kigo, and not everyone is really comfortable doing character voices, and I certainly wasn't for a very
Yeah.
long time, and
I kind
and
of
I'm not.
started the train on that one, I
Well, you
think.
did, you
I just
did,
got
and
around it because like your character's from Fantasy Italy, Angela's from Fantasy Russia. My character's just from Fantasy Oklahoma. Um,
Perfect.
and Maggie is obviously from Fantasy Brooklyn,
I
so
mean, and also,
and
like, you don't even have to do a character voice. Even just a simple tonal change really does a lot.
oh, absolutely. Like that Angelo does not do a lot of voices. And he told us up front, like, I am no Griffin McElroy. I cannot do a ton of different voices. But, he'll do some every once in a while. But and I don't want to go off into a tangent with this character and that character and this, but I will just say what I'm assuming is our main villain in our game. When he becomes him, it is terrifying.
It's really scary.
Like I have legit like gotten so scared by the way his demeanor, the way his face looks, his expressions, his tone. It is a complete change, and it is just very scary. So, and that's with no accent. He doesn't like, or any like change of like voice necessarily. Like it's just in how you present it that can also be very, very important. And with that, I should also mention that Kigo is from Fantasy France, and I started a French accent. How long ago was that, Maggie? When I
it was
started actually?
probably about halfway through the campaign, because I did mine from the beginning, and then I think you were like, oh, I kind of want to, but I don't want people to make fun of me. And then eventually you got more comfortable with it, and then Louise also started doing the Russian accent. So
Yes, that is yes. So and like it really does. At least like I don't know. For me, it really kind of puts me more into the character. So having at least some people being like at least willing to try again if they're comfortable with it, I think also just helps you submerge yourself into the character and the story. But again, I understand completely that some people are not comfortable with that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, it's a game, you're having fun. It's all about what is comfortable for you. Okay, so I thought instead of doing kind of general closing thoughts, I could close with kind of one final question that I actually think is pretty important for this kind of podcast as a thing, which is just, what would your advice to someone who is going to play D&D for the very first time, what advice would you give to that person?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you mind if I go first this time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My advice would be to not worry about being cliche or Mary Sue or Gary Stew or whatever term you want to call it, special snowflake. Like, do make a character that resonates with you, that is fun, and it could even be a total joke character like Chadwick, like
Chadwick the Bod.
Chadwick the Bod with no last name, and he's from Brooklyn. Be a super edgy goth fish man with too many eyes that his last name is literally Goth, and he is a warlock. And don't be like, I don't know, like a lot of people are also worried about like it being like too nerdy or something, but at the same, I say that, but D&D has become very, very popular these days, and I feel like most people generally aren't really worried about that anymore. But like, if you can find the right people to play with, like, I don't want to say it's like life-changing, because I feel like that's crazy to say or ridiculous to say, but I have to say though, like with playing D&D, I have gotten so much closer to like so many people. Like Maggie, Louise, and Angelo are so much closer to me now than they were beforehand. And with seeing, that's just a really good way also to see friends that maybe you don't really see that often in general. It's a really good excuse to
drive an hour
together
on a
Yeah,
Sunday.
for sure.
To drive an
Yes.
hour on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, and yeah, also me driving 3.5 hours to get back to St. Louis and them coming up here for a weekend. I was starting to lose touch with my high school friends, and not through anybody's fault of our own, but we actually came together back more just from listening and watching like Critical Role and just D&D there. And then they were like, well, we want to play a game. And I was like, I want to DM a game,
and you just
so we
do
did
it.
and we just did a one shot, and it really does bring people together.
It really does. And the only other thing I'll say is, do not be overwhelmed, or at least, well, you can be overwhelmed, but don't be like too overwhelmed. Don't be afraid of all the rules and things like that. Like, there's resources you can find. There's people that can help you. I'm not kidding. Almost every session that we play, one of us says, "How do you play D&D?"
Oh God, every time.
Every time we forget, how do you attack? How do I do a spell? Like every time. And Angelo, who has been DMing and playing D&D for a very long time, still is learning things. He'll be like, "Hey, did you guys know XYZ?" And we're like, "Well, why would we know that? You're the encyclopedia." And he's like, "Fair enough." So like, there's so many things to learn, and you might mess up, but that's not a big deal. It's D&D. The world is your oyster, and the most important thing is to have fun and hopefully get along with the people that you're playing with. I personally don't understand people. I mean, like, I know there's leagues and like that's just what people like to do, but me personally, I don't find the appeal of playing with people that I don't know and that I don't consider a friend. So that's my advice.
All right, Maggie.
Oh, balls! I wish I went first now, but
no! Did I say everything you were gonna say?
No. I'm just intimidated because it was so good.
What? Stop that,
bro. Yeah, I guess just kind of bouncing off like the last part of what Eryn said. Like, if you are brand new to D&D, I think honestly the best like advice I could give is just to find a good group of friends to play with, like people you're comfortable with for sure, and people who I think even going beyond just being friends, like you at least knowing some stuff about the game is like having the same like kind of style as play like really helps. Because I know with like like I think with like Louise, Eryn, and I and Angelo got really lucky is because we were all very like are like role playing heavy, and we all kind of really enjoy that. And I think we've kind of gotten lucky there. But I've know about like different people in different groups I've been in where it's like sometimes the play styles and what the DM wants or what the different players wants have like kind of clashed, like where somebody's like, I want it to be more like battle heavy and strategy heavy. And I think going into it and at least like discussing with the friends you want to play and knowing what you want to get out of your campaign or your session first is like a really helpful thing to do. And even like my high school friends and we started out as just a one shot, but we're all very like, again, like RP heavy. We're very role play heavy, but they want some battles, it's not, we kind of knew what we wanted to get out of it. And I think having that kind of discussion before you start playing is just really helpful. So
I completely agree.
That's my advice.
Right. Yeah, so I guess I'll close it out. And yeah, I want to kind of echo what has been said before me about just, like build a character that resonates with you because you will love them and you will become attached. And also, right, like finding a group that you're really comfortable with who's going to embrace and like say yes and to anything that you're going to do. I think those are very important. But the thing that I actually kind of wanted to say is like my little tidbit of advice is look forward to failure.
God, yes.
And I mean that in a lot of different ways. I mean that in that failing is going to happen because it is a dice-based game, and so you are not going to succeed on all of your rolls, but also in the sense of like it being a chance-based game and having those opportunities where you are like, I'm going to do this thing and it's going to be so awesome. And then it doesn't work out, right? I actually find that those are some of the best storytelling moments, right? Like when,
definitely,
like when you
sure.
whiff or when you like crit fail on something. And so then the DM has to kind of be like, well, now here are the negative consequences of that. And so I actually kind of like, I mean, sometimes it can mess it up when like I'm trying to do something really badass, but like I also kind of enjoy failing because it means that like the story isn't going to go exactly the way I wanted it to go, and then I'm going to have to react to it in some way. And so yeah, that's my tidbit is look forward to failure.
No, I 100% agree. It would be boring if everything went exactly how you wanted it to. Like, you gotta have some conflict. You gotta have something kind of disrupting the paradise.
Right.
So to speak.
Exactly. All right. So I think that is our podcast this week. So thank you both. Yes, thank you both very much for coming on and talking to me about Dungeons and Dragons, this thing that we all love. Now, as I kind of mentioned both in the last episode and a little bit at the beginning of this episode, this is actually a 2-part series. For our next episode, we're going to come back and still be talking Dungeons and Dragons, but we're going to be doing a little bit of a more focused discussion because I am bringing in multiple dungeon masters to kind of talk about their experiences, both the new and the old and experienced in terms of dungeon mastery. So thank you all. Yeah, I'm excited. Awesome. I'm stoked. I'm going to learn so much because I've never dungeon mastered in my life. So thank you all so much for listening to Let Us Talk, the first of its name, although there will be many, many more to come. And we will catch you all next time. Bye.
Goodbye.